And good morning, everyone, and namaste. Welcome to Hindu Lounge. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by HinduPACT. HinduPACT is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. HinduPACT is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America or VHPA. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern. And here we are today on a historic day. And before I go to that, I would like to bring in Utsada. Utsada is Utsav Chakravarti. Utsada is the executive director of Hindu Pact. And Utsada, what a day! What a week! Sorry, here we go. What a week, huh? This is something that I know you and a lot of other people in the community have waited and worked on for decades, and then all of a sudden we hear this year that a historic event has taken place. So I don't want to steal your thunder. I want you to talk about it. So for all people who know, Utsoda is the executive director of Hindu Pact, and he has been relentlessly working for, like, I don't know, Utsoda, what is it, 10 years or something on this particular project. So without further comments on my part, I will turn over to Utsoda to talk about what is so historic about this week.
Thank you, Ajay. And let me first start by saying that it is an amazingly happy moment for everybody in the Indian subcontinent, I must say, and every peace-loving and freedom-loving person around the world. Uh, I would have to say that I may have wanted to get things done for the last 10 years, but we have Priya Saha here, who has spent her whole life working on this. As
So
the
what is
executive.
this? You have to still you haven't said what this is.
Well, Ajay, you already gave the
No, I said
announcement.
there's a historic event, but I never said what it
Okay,
is. I
okay. Let
wanted
me build up
you.
to it. Let me
I
build
wouldn't
up.
want to steal your thunder on this one.
Let me build up to it. And also, we have today Amulya Tyagi, who actually was the person who connected to the right lawmakers, especially the one who sponsored this resolution. So I'm getting to there. Uh, without Priya Saha's life's work, and without Tyagi ji, who is our Hindu Pact chapter person from Cincinnati, Ohio, uh, I would just talking about it like I always did in the last 10 years. So this is amazing to hear. And so the resolution and the congressman and all the things we are discussing that we are talking about is 1971 genocide recognition. And 1971 genocide recognition has been a project that has been close to the heart of millions of people in the Indian subcontinent. It is the world's largest unrecognized genocide. So, and it is one of the largest genocides of the 20th century that is yet to be formally recognized by the US and by the United Nations. In that genocide, depending on what sources, primary sources you look at, the number of people who were killed goes as high as 3 million, 80% of whom were Hindus. So, as you can see, as in HinduLounge, as Hindu organizations in America, it was very important for all of us to work together. And in the last month or so, nearly 60 American Hindu organization and Indian American organization and South Asian organization came together, and they worked on it to persuade people to support this resolution. So the resolution recognizing the 1971 genocide by the Pakistani army and allied Islamists has been introduced as of Friday by Congressman Steve Chabot and Khanna. Now, Khanna represents the extreme left of the Democratic Party and its policies, and Congressman Steve Chabot represents the veteran conservative lawmakers in the Republican Party. So it is a bipartisan resolution, extremely important because it brings together people across the ideological spectrum. So, having given that basic overview, I hand it back to you, Ajay Bhai, and the
And
floor is
let's while we are at it,
yours
so
for
here
Priya
we are. Let's
Tyagi.
bring in Priya Sahaji and Amulya Tyagi ji. Uh, Sudha, you've already talked a little bit about it, about Priya ji and Tyagi ji, but I want to extend my welcome to
I
Tyagi
think
ji. Tyagi
Priyaji's
ji, your
camera is
first time on
switched off.
Hindu Lounge. So welcome to Hindu Lounge. Priya ji has been here on Hindu Lounge before, but we are waiting for her to kind of reconnect and join. But Tyagiji, thank you for joining. I know you did a lot of hard work, as you always do, on all the Hindu-related projects. I know you're relentlessly working on Hindu Heritage Month. You're doing Hindu Heritage, and of course this congressional liaison work. From local area all the way to national, you coordinate a lot of these activities, and we cannot be more thankful to you for actually making this historic event possible. And Priyaji, what can I say? I mean, you have been, you are, namaste and welcome for joining. You have been really, ever since you gave the testimony to the House and to the House committee, I believe. And after that, it just, you've been in US, you do so much grassroots level work to increase the awareness of this. And you've been on Hindu Lounge a couple of times. And we really want to, express our gratitude on behalf of entire Hindu community to both of you and to other people who are not here on the show today. So, Renu Gupta ji, who is our executive director for chapter development at HinduPACT, also lives in Cincinnati, and Pramod Javeri ji, who is the mayor of one of the smaller towns over there, who initially got us in, going on the connections with all the people in Congress and working, working at the different level. I mean, working with elected representatives and all of that. And I believe Dhiman Chowdhuri is still going to join us. He is the president of the president of HRCBM. So, Uchada, a little bit, maybe you can take it over from here and maybe talk a little bit about HRCBM, a little bit about and then the actual genocide for people who are tuning in for the first time, and then start with the questions for our guests.
Yeah, I still could not connect to Dhiman Chaudhary, and I'm unable to. He's on the West Coast, so it's too early in the morning for him.
Yeah.
But Priyadi, if you can, whenever you're available to get on the camera, uh, we will. Yes, thank you. So Priyadi, actually, I'm going to start with you because you are a victim yourself. For you, this has been your life, and please tell us what has been your experience growing up. Because if I remember correctly, you were 6 years old when this happened, and you walked for 2 days and nights with your family across the border into India as a refugee. So, first, tell us about the scale and the atrocities that the Pakistani army and the Islamists committed. And then tell us your experience, your family's experience, and the experience of people who you knew from 1971. Uh, Please go ahead.
Uh, Namaste to all, and I want to thank Tyagi. You did the final help, and without your help, um, we couldn't do it as soon as we did. So my namaskar and wholehearted gratitude to you from Bangladeshi community, and I want to thank Utsav. He is helping as many way as he can. So my experience is, yes, Utsav told perfectly. I was at that time 6 year old, and we worked 14 days to reach India, the West Bengal. We call the Bonga station, Bonga railway station. Uh, how we started, before we are starting to India, every evening, what we see, the village after village, the Islamist and the Pakistani army, they are burning. And the evening time and the night, you can say the whole area surrounding my village, the burning light and sound, people are crying. This area there is no sound disturbance, so you can hear at least 1 mile 2 mile far ahead, people are crying, and you can see light more beyond this area. So people crying and burning, it was my everyday evening, and it's still now I'm traumatized for that. And in the morning time, what we saw, my house in the north side of Boleshwar River. It's a huge river in southern part of Bangladesh. In the Boleshwar River, the Pakistani army, the gunboat, you may understand the gunboat, the army convey, it come, and there was a miracle, there was a very heinous uh, coalition with the Islamist group and this Pakistani army. The Chormonai, there was a madrasa, the Shorshina madrasa, and their peer, the peer, and they had a meeting with Pakistani army, and they plan the riverside, the village was in our country at that time. The people use the transport, the boat, lawns, and or we used to go by the road communicate, not road, the water based communication. So they had a plan. They the Muslim village. So Muslim people will stand in the riverside, have a uh, cap, and they when the gunboat used to come, they start namaz in the roadside, so that the army could understand this is a Muslim village. So they didn't fire from gunboat to this village. But after that, when there is no Muslim people are not performing namaz, they start, mm, you know, um, indiscriminately firing from the village. So the the people are running and dying. So people are running to keep shelter. Sometime I could remember many days. When the gunboat was, my mom saw, okay, gunboat is coming. So far away we can see in the riverside the gunboat is coming. Then and sound. When you got the sound, then my mother used to tell us, just lie down on the floor, um, on the behind my home. We just lie down hours after hours, so that if they fire from the gunboat, uh, we didn't die, because those people are running. They murdered them, because it's the level, you understand the firing level. But if you lie down from the gunboat, they cannot murder you. So, and on night before leaving my country, the Islamist group from surrounding our village area, my father was a local leader, the social leader, and they come to our house and stand in the at say 12 a.m. in the night, or 11:30, like this we are sleeping, and they called my father name. Okay, come out, Mr. Noggin. Uh, we have something to talk with you. And my mother understand. He saw a lot of people, and my mother, okay, what you want to tell? We don't open our door. You can talk, and they talk. Okay, if you don't want to come, this is we. You have only 5 hour time. Your village. You can leave this country tonight, today night. If you don't leave this country today night, what will happen tomorrow morning? We don't know. Mr. Barek Mullah and some Sardar Sheikh, they came together and talked this way. And there was people were talking. They came to murder my father, and they just trying. They are calling to come out my father, and my mother was so brave. I cannot explain how my mother braveness. And she talked. In our house, we had, a lot of big, not sword. We used to cut some, the tree and other thing, some local iron made so type thing. So we use that for household chores. And my mother just called them, who want to break this door or want to kill my husband? I'm come out in front of my door. I will open the door, and who want to sacrifice your life, I will chop you first, then you will enter my home or murder my husband or my kids. And my mother was shouted seriously, and she referred, um, Sri Sri Kali. I want to be Devi Kali, and I want to kill you. Then you can kill us. Then my mother shouted seriously. Then they just told, okay, don't shout, you have only 5 hour time, you can leave. And we were three brother and sister in our home at that time, and my elder brother went to join the freedom fighter team before 1 month, and they left our village. Then my mother closed the door and check whether there anybody near this area, and my mother locked the door and went to the village and called everyone, you have only this much time, another 4 or 5 hours, we have to leave this village as soon as we can. Then the villagers wake up, and we use boat to go on place to another place, and they collect all these boat, the villagers, and we entered journey to India. You can understand what we taken with us, only some gold. We do not have that much cash, right? And some utensils people can carry in their hand. So with this boat, we start say 4 a.m. like this to another area, and I was slept. When we reached other area, I couldn't remember. Then I could remember another day in the river side. Just we are getting bath in river, and in the sunlight we were our cloth on side, the woman wearing one side of this shari, and other side they just keep this way for you know um, get dyed. In that way it takes 14 days. 14 days we used to eat on time, basically in the morning some rice, some pulse, and the roadside mother or my father or other people, they used to collect some leaf vegetable from the roadside, or some other people they left the country. So we cook in the field or in the roadside some places, and collect some straw to cook. Then in that way the 14 days, and the last night it was the Kaligons cantonment in Joshua district. That day we start in the cantonment, people are asleep at night. So people know only you can cross the border in the midnight, but daytime you cannot cross the border. If you walk um, uh, across the cantonment side, they will murder you. And on the way I can remember the whole road was the rainy season, no brick road or this type of road, it's a mud road, our up to knee, this go down to the mud. Many times I just fall down on the mud, and whole body was uh, you know in the mud. And many people, the old woman, you can see lots of picture, woman, men, the old, their parents, they give some uh, paratha or chapati or some flattened rice or some, and keep their parents there, because these old people cannot walk with them. So these people waited for their children or their son, they will come sometime and take them. But we were not able to bring these old people with us, and they died on this roadside. And during the last day when we crossed the border in the Kaligons cantonment, in the night time, people were just, how when the floodlight come out, we just many people just lie down on the mud. It was because if the army wake up, then army will start firing, then all people will die. So then another time, when the flashlight just they off the flashlight, then we start walking again from this cantonment side, and we reached in the Bonga, and that was the relief. And during the 9 month, we were in Murshidabad, on Murshidabad refugee camp. In this refugee camp, 9 month, we generally eat the potato, rice, and some pulse. And sometime my father went to the Murshidabad in the riverside. He tried to catch some fish, and my mother tried to collect some, you know, vegetable leaf or like this thing. And I ate that, and my whole body as a young kid, that is due to the malnutrition. We didn't need the protein or many other things, so the huge malnutrition. And every day in the camp, I could remember the people, the children and the old people, they start crying. What happened? Okay, people died, there's kids died. And there was a camp in West Bengal. The Ted Kennedy visited this um, camp. At that time it was called Lobon Rod. Now they changed this area name. It was a fellow land. This fellow land the West Bengal government used for refugee camp, the Lobon Rod. Now they changed the name Salt Lake. I couldn't understand whether West Bengal government wanted to hide the Lobon Rod. These million people died on this camp. Not million, you say 100,000 people died on this camp, and the bad history of this Lobon Rod, they just changed the name, uh, Salt Lake. And Salt Lake now is a very posh area. The rich people are living in this area.
So Priyaji, let me ask you this: when you relate this, your personal experience is very emotional and very moving, very touching, and and then you see, an attempt to kind of change the name of the lake, and wipe out, in a way, wipe out the history, and then you see that this resolution gets introduced in the US House of Congress. And I'll put up the resolution for people who may not have seen it. But this is the resolution that was introduced, and there's a resolution has a number now. When it was first introduced, obviously it doesn't have. So that, what is the number here for the
1430.
bill?
1430 1430.
1430, HR 1430. And now when you see this, you're now in US, and you work, along with Tyagi ji, and you work relentlessly on getting this recognition for all the pain and suffering. So you see this, and you know and what is the and this actually sums up in somewhat of a legalistic way, sums up your life experience and life experience of millions and millions of people. As it says here in the resolution, 10 million refugees fled to India. Uh, what what was the first thing that, when you heard that the resolution has been introduced in the House of Representatives, what was the first thought that came to your mind?
uh, my I did my lifetime work, you know and I within a second I remember all this, my relative 18, my family member, the no greater family member, they died. And people, within a second I remember the village after village is burning, people are crying, and nobody is talking about them. Within a moment I saw all of their face, and I think I cried. How it's happened? And I am so grateful to all of these people. Within a second, I cannot imagine, tell you how they help all this way. And we we finally could able to do the historic thing, because it's 51 year. The 100,000, many 100,000 people are living in USA and my country, the government and all other people across the world. They could bring this genocide in the record, but
So
we finally able to do that. So
yeah,
I remember
that's
all my
amazing.
the victim name and their face, and I feel so grateful to them. Not them who helped me to do this work. Finally, introduce the resolution in the house.
So, Tyagiji, let me ask Tyagiji then. Tyagiji, when you hear this, Priyaji explained her life experience that she, so it was so touching, so moving, and and when you hear that, and I'm sure you've heard that before as well, and then when you hear all the memories that came back to her of her, of what she had seen when the genocide was taking place as a 6-year-old, and you got involved in this couple of years ago, and when you heard that this resolution has finally been introduced in the house, what went through your mind, and also what motivated you to work on this for 2 years, and finally what was your, what came, what were the emotions when you heard that this has been finally introduced?
Uh, thank you, Ajay bhai. First of all, let me thank Priya Saha. Priya ji, thank you for giving your testimony. It makes me emotional. So, what we were expecting this to happen in the last few days, but when it actually happened, wow! This is I mean, I can tell you how happy how happy I felt. This day will be October 14th, is going to be remembered as a historic day. And this is the first time when uh, genocide of Hindu people is going to be recognized. And and I think in, we must thank Congressman Chabot for doing this, because he listened to us. He knew about it because he has been to India many times, and he was part of the Foreign Relations Committee, so he knew what had happened, but he probably did not know as much detail. But he listened to us, and he agreed that it is time to recognize this genocide. Uh, so, and of course, from our side, the great work which was done by Utsoji and Priyaji, and we did our, I tell Renuji and other folks here that what we did in Cincinnati, I call it when Ram Setu was being built, the Gilhari's effort in building the Ram Setu. That's what that's what we did. Most of the work Utsoji and Priyaji did. Uh, so, I mean, listening to Priya just now, it brought tears to my eyes. It reminded me of Anne Frank's story. So, but it's going to it has. So this is the first time it is going to it will be recognized, and this is the first time. And then so that is a very key. Last time when we met with Chabot many times, last time we met, I told him that two things. Of course, recognizing the genocide generically is necessary to prevent further genocides. That is there. But why it is so important for us, for Hindus? And I told him that this is not the only genocide of Hindus, but this is the first one which is well documented by US agencies, by United Nations, by reporters. So nobody can dispute the facts, and so this must be recognized. That's why it is so important, because we can have it recognized. And he agreed, and and his staff also, we have been working with, one of his staff members told me the other day that, Amul, uh, we are ready, we should be ready for counter offensive, but facts are with us. So so that's all I can say, that
Thank you,
everybody
Tyagi.
worked on it, but we really are grateful to Congressman Chabot for doing it. And Khanna also, he
Absolutely.
co-sponsored at which was very
That makes a big difference. I mean,
big
and
difference. Yeah, it
uh,
made it
we
a bipartisan resolution.
we cannot
And yes,
thank Representative Khanna enough, because look, I mean, on this show, to be fair, when he has, there were times where we have called him out, and there are times when we, like this, when he has really, shown that he stands up for Hindu community, and we thank him for that, profusely thank him for that.
oh
So
yes.
that behind the scene. Sorry, Tyagiji, you were going to say something. Please go ahead.
No, I said that is true, because it made it bipartisan effort. We were ready to go alone also, but I'm thankful. We are thankful to Khanna that he agreed to co-sponsor. That was, and he'll be remembered for that.
He'll be
Hindu
remembered for
community
that.
will remember him for that.
Absolutely. Utsada, you've been very modest, but you have. This has been in some ways, as knowing you for for a while now. I know that this has been one of your life missions, right? You've worked relentlessly, to make sure that the voices of those people who who perished in this genocide were not forgotten. And so this has been quite a journey for you.
Well, I mean, every Hindu who is somewhat knowledgeable about this issue, who has who has some affinity to the Indian subcontinent, and is focused on the geopolitics of the region, I believe has had some effort to bring this on. But I have to say that amongst many Hindu leaders, Hindu community activists, organizers, many had given up. Many had given up. Many felt this is not possible. There were major Hindu organizations who used to be at the forefront of advocacy out there, Hindu advocacy out there, who flatly refused to take this up, saying, "Oh, this is not possible. We have tried." But I have to say that I do take the credit of still believing in it. So I believe that this could be formally recognized. I believe that when I met Priyaji 2 years ago, I I heard her stories, and it rekindled in me the desire to make another effort to get this recognized. And obviously, I did not have the connections or the resources to do this. So that's where all the Hindu organizations who supported in the last week, and HinduPACT itself in the last year, especially the Cincinnati chapter, comes into play. So yeah, I believe it was somewhere in the back of my head, like everybody else. Ajay bhai, you also believed in it. So we all wanted this to happen. I must also say that I must add to what Tyagi ji said and Priya ji said, that once the facts are presented, which the resolution really tries to present, there might be one or two small little lacunas that can be fixed going forward in the resolution, because it was brought in very fast. But overall, if you read the 8 pages of the resolution, the facts that are presented are very comprehensive and very directional. It is irrefutable to some degree. And I think when Congressman Chabot's staff started working on it, and I heard this from not just Tyagiji but also Priyaji, that they really started believing in what they were doing as much as Priyaji and Tyagiji believed in it. So this is the most important part, that once you actually research on the scale and the depth of what happened in 1971, a neutral observer will want to make this happen day before yesterday. They would feel so guilty for not having recognized it for 50 years that they would immediately do it. And as Tyagiji said, I agree with him that Congressman Chabot would have introduced it himself even if Ro Khanna would not have joined it. But what Ro Khanna did brings in a whole new dimension, because it makes it a cross ideological effort. And in a country like America, which is so divided at this point of time, where people don't want to even listen to a news channel that they believe is slightly to the opposite of what their ideological beliefs are. From that situation, to have the two completely ideologically diverse people come together to bring this, it is a challenge to the community now. And I don't know how many people are listening to us today, but those of you who are listening to this, it is a challenge to you all to convince your lawmaker to co-sponsor this before the elections. And I would use this platform to appeal to people. Each one of you who is listening to this now, or who would listen to this over the next couple of hours or days, contact your lawmakers. You have the resolution now. It's HR 1430 by Steve Chabot and Congressman Ro Khanna. All you need to do is just send one line to your lawmaker and say, if you are going to the election, you want our vote, you want the American Hindu vote, co-sponsor this resolution. You have no excuse. You cannot say, oh, the Republican did it, I am not a Republican. You cannot say, oh, the Democrat did it, I am not a Democrat. Everybody from both ends should come together.
So just want to let people know that there will be a formalized campaign on this to garner support from that's coming at the right time. And so we will provide mechanism, and we'll provide how to contact and everything else. So please stay tuned for that. That is coming.
So I have somebody with the name Wellness Universal.
Yeah, they're asking about the HR
So
396.
that was not about the 1971 genocide.
There were elements of that, but the focus of that was actually the current day Bangladesh. It was not the focus.
It was focused on current events in Bangladesh.
Yeah,
and it was I was involved in that as well, because I was the one who went to Bangladesh to collect facts along with people along with Jay Kansara, who used to work with Hindu American Foundation at that time. So yeah, I'm fully aware of what went into that. So that was not specifically 1971 genocide recognition. That was brought in July 2015. In fact, Jay Kansara gave testimony on that, and we were both in Bangladesh for more than 2 weeks on that issue.
correct.
So yeah, that's just wanted to correct wellness.
Right. Yeah. No, I knew that the focus of that was the present day Bangladesh more than the historic recognition of the Bangladesh genocide. Utsada, I asked the same question because you were you were somewhat matter of fact in this, but I want to ask you this because you have been to Bangladesh, you have worked on this for a long time, even though you are actually you didn't see this or you didn't hear about this in your lifetime. You're too young for that, which is a compliment. But but when the first time when you heard, what are the at any time you undertake a major a major initiative, there are all kinds of ups and downs that you go through, last minute hurdles that come up, and then finally it happens, right? And then it maybe at that moment, what were your raw emotions? What did you feel like? And not like as a Hindu activist, and not as a executive director of HinduPACT, but as a person, as a Hindu. What was your emotion like? What did you feel? How did you feel?
I am just happy to see. I have worked with Priya ji for so long over the last few years, and I've worked with Tyagi ji, Renu ji, and the Ohio chapter so much. I've worked with you, Ajay bhai, so much. So I was just happy to see everybody else happy. So I do recognize that this is just the beginning. We have to acknowledge this, that as much as we are this is the weekend, there's not much we can do over the weekend in terms of approaching lawmakers or doing things out there. So we should be happy and we should be enjoying this moment. But trust me, this is just the beginning. From tomorrow, each one of us should be reaching out to lawmakers, should be reaching out for co-sponsors. And from tomorrow, each one of us, more importantly, Ajay bhai, this is the part I want to drive home here. And I will still answer your question. I was very happy. But what we have to look forward. So looking forward, Ajay bhai, what we need to see is that the people who committed the genocide, they did not go away. Okay, many of them went to UK, many of them went back to Pakistan, many of them came to America. And if you follow HinduPACT's Twitter account, our research team does a wonderful job. We have young people who do this research. they have come up with evidence to show that present day American Islamist organizations, who are often in the news targeting Hindutva, targeting Hindus, targeting all sorts of people. They have targeted Priya Saha as well. All these people have connections to those who actually committed the crime. There is a person who lives in New York today, who was the former who held a leadership position in the ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America's New York chapter. He was convicted of killing 18 people himself by a government of Bangladesh appointed jury. Mind you, these are not people, these are not Modi supporters, or these are not Hindus who are making these convictions. Many of these are Muslims who are making this conviction. So this is important because there are a lot of things happening today. There's a lot of hatred against Hindus. You will see ads in newspapers, whether it is Wall Street Journal, New York Times. You will see so many things happening around, and all of these things are connected. So if anybody thinks that what happened in 1971 and this genocide recognition is an island in itself, it is not. It is time for the community and the media, American media, to try to connect the dots and go forward from here. Because as much as it is important to recognize what happened in the past, and Tyagiji pointed it out very well in the beginning of his speech, it is important to connect it to what is going to happen or what could happen in the future. And I think Priyaji and Tyagiji can expand upon it more than I did, but that's my thought.
So you didn't still get to the emotion part, but that's
As you
that's
can
okay.
see, I'm quite emotionally expounding upon
Yeah,
it.
that's okay.
Yeah.
So, Priyaji, I have taking off of where Utsada left off, right? So, Priya Didi, what do you think of of all these people who have not yet been Bangladesh government, to its credit, has been punishing some of the people, right? But if you look at the history of how the Holocaust perpetrators have been identified through the decades, in some of them in their 80s and 90s, and have been brought to justice, and they've been brought to justice so that this does not happen again. This kind of Holocaust doesn't happen again, genocide doesn't happen again. So when you hear, but now that the bill has been introduced, and I'm certain that this bill will pass, would you like to see these people brought to justice, and how would you foresee that happening? Like, do you would it be the government of Bangladesh? Would it be some other agency, government, US government, Indian government, people working? How do you foresee these people being brought to justice? Or would you just say that, let bygones be bygone and let's forget about it?
No way. Thank you for your question. Uh, the people is still alive. Not only that, their asset and their belongings, their crime should be the part of history, and they should be tried in International Criminal Court. And I want to thank my government, the Bangladesh government. They formed the ICT tribunal. They're trying the war criminal, and they convicted more than 100 people through this. Now the conviction take place more than 100 people through this ICT court, and many of them are got the capital punishment. And Bangladesh government is doing very categorically and punishing these war criminal who are in Bangladesh. But the 194 war criminal from Pakistan, many of them still alive. And when this resolution is passed, we will go forward to file a suit against this criminal in International Criminal Court. And US government, when they will pass this resolution itself, will have a responsibility to perform the judiciary inquiry, and they will bring them in the justice system. I believe that. And I want to mention that it was a pre-planned genocide. In if we, there is a resolution they call to declare as a genocide, but I want to say something to my people who are watching at this moment or will watch this video later. On 27th February 1971, the year here, declared, you kill, murder 3 million, rest of all eat out in our hand. And if and the second point was, if you kill the Hindu and displace them, so we will have their land and their property. So our Muslim people, they will own this asset, and the Islamist, we will be able to easily establish the Islamist world and the Islamist country. It was pre-planned, and through this plan, they murdered 3 million, they displaced, they attacked, Hindu people. And this perpetrator, our government, the Awam League, the led by the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the Awam League party was win. They delayed, and they thought, although I want to share, there was 162 parliament member from Awam League. All of them were Muslim, because it was a tricks by this government. So they didn't nominate the Hindu people. So all parliament member was Muslim. They didn't murder a single parliament member. They did the Pakistani army. They didn't murder the Awam League leader or the political leader. They mercilessly, those people was behind the independent movement, the intellectual people, and from the teacher, journalist, the attorney, and the conscious people and the Hindu community at that time. And still now in Bangladesh, the Hindu people are much more educated from the total community. So they
Yeah.
targeted the Hindu. So they wanted to divert the motive. Okay, kill Hindu. So it will show this, this independent war is between Hindu and Muslim,
Right.
and they use this weapon, the Hindu Muslim card, and killed the Hindu. And
So
there was a confession I shared today with Ushabji. Would you please share this clip? I send you in the WhatsApp. They told that we are killing only Hindu. Then the journalist asked, "Are you killing the women and children?" Well, no, 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 no. We are not killing women, because they will rape them. They will enjoy them. They are not killing women. They're just killing Hindu. That means Hindu men. That was their target, and they openly, uh, shared with his the Mascarans. Yes, you can see, they told just, our target is killing Hindu.
right.
Yeah, you can see, we need to
Right.
spell out to our people what was the Pakistani army, the criminal, their plan. Yeah,
So
this
let
was
me ask this to Tyagiji then. So Tyagiji, when many as you mentioned earlier, right? Many genocides have been forgotten. This one is well documented in most of our lives. I mean, except for Soda's life, but this is in our lifetime. We have seen, at whatever age we saw this. I mean, we heard about it. We were, and we, it was very painful experience even at the time. But now that this resolution has been introduced, and there is an opportunity uh, to really recognize this, and the next step is bringing people to justice. What are your thoughts? Of course, Priya Didi said that they should have absolutely be tried in international court of justice. Uh, do you agree with that? And do you think that that will happen? And how do Hindus go about making it happen?
Uh, I totally agree with what Priyaji said. First part, that they must be punished. Whether it's going to happen or not will depend. We don't know yet, but it also will depend a lot on what we do in that regard. So Hindu community does. But once the resolution is in place, and if you remember, in the resolution we have excuse me, we have one clause saying just that the perpetrators who are still alive must be found and prosecuted in accordance with international law and punished accordingly. And my personal feeling is that in addition to those who are living, we must also prosecute those who are dead, the leaders, including Yahya Khan, so that history records them as war criminals. That's my view.
So,
And it has to be
Tyagiji,
done unless the punishments are meted out.
yeah,
Just recognizing the genocide, yeah, is good. But that's only one part of it. The other part is punishment. Without punishment, it doesn't it doesn't serve the purpose which it should serve. That is to deter the people from doing something like this again.
right, right,
Like Utsoji mentioned, when the Jewish Holocaust, I
right,
remember hearing news, 80-year-old, 85-year-old criminal living in Argentina, hiding in Argentina for all these years, was found by the Israelis and then taken to the court and punished.
right,
And actually, one happened in our country, in United States also. The
yeah,
guy was living somewhere in
Ohio,
Midwest Ohio, somewhere. Yeah, right.
yeah.
So I remember that. So it can be, it has been done. So it can be done again, and it must be done again, because uh, so far the world community really didn't. I mean, they recognize crimes depending upon who are the victims and who are the perpetrators, and they did not value Hindus as being victims. That was the international politics.
So Tyagiji, let me ask you a question. That is maybe you can blend this answer. Are we calling? Or would you support calling for sanctions on Pakistan until they bring they uh, uh, they recognize, they themselves recognize, because they've shelved the report, right? The report that Pakistani military created on the 71 war has never been made public. So would you recommend that United States sanction and stop all military aid to Pakistan until they release their own report and they help bring the perpetrators of this genocide to justice? Are we going to go and take that step? Should HinduPACT take that step?
I say yes, yes. I do want. I support that completely, and that's why we put that clause in the resolution about punishment. So, and not only military, not only stopping military aid. We need to we need to have United Nations sanctions against Pakistan, and it needs to be led by U.S. government once this resolution is approved. Uh, complete isolation of Pakistan, economic as well, so that Pakistanis feel the pain, and once they feel the pain, then they will come and then they will cooperate in finding people and punishing them.
This could not have been at a better time. The finance minister of Pakistan, Dhar, is actually visiting United States right now, asking for more aid from US and US led international finance agency, right, Utsada? What are your thoughts on the sanctions on Pakistan?
Well, I think I can only thank the two lawmakers who chose this time to introduce this. This is the perfect time for this resolution to come, because just as finance minister of Pakistan, and as you know, Pakistan is economically in a pretty precarious situation. So I think this goes to say about the experience of Congressman Chabot in terms of handling foreign affairs and being in the foreign affairs committee for such a long time, that he chose the perfect time to bring the resolution and present it while the finance minister of Pakistan was here. And as you know, Washington DC is also a place where there are multilateral global funding agencies like the International Monetary Fund, World Bank. So to
Asian
have
Development Bank,
yeah,
all of that. Yep.
so to have this kind of resolution appear at the Capitol Hill in Washington DC just when the finance minister of Pakistan is here, it's a very powerful message. And coincidentally, it is also around the same time when President Biden actually gave a speech day before yesterday, where he said that Pakistan is the most dangerous country in the world. And so in all good earnest, the divines are smiling on us for once, and I think all the efforts that were put together by the entire community is coming together at
Yeah,
the right
and
time. Doesn't
that
mean it ends here. It's just the beginning. As I keep repeating, it's just the beginning.
yeah, it is just a beginning. And with that, Utsada, we are towards the end of our time. I don't know if anyone has any final comments to make. I welcome you to make any final comments if you have any. Priya Didi, do you have any final comments?
Yes, I want to thank the Hindu Lounge. You are trying, you give me time and visibility so that people know me and what I am doing. They are knowing through the Hindu Lounge. I want to thank Hindu Lounge for your this support for this community. At the same time, for this resolution, when we start working in 2020 from December, from the Utsav did what he did. You know that without Utsav, I couldn't do anything. I had all this resource information and all this basic thing, but I need to connect the dotted up to the Washington, the Congress, and he connected all these people and helped me to do this thing. So my any word thank you to Utsav will be very little, but I am so thankful to Utsav. I cannot tell my word. From my Bangladeshi community, on behalf of Bangladeshi community, we want to thank Utsav with our whole heart. And
Thank you,
other
Priya
thing,
ji.
I want to remember just one second. Uh, Many people from the Pranesh Haldar DC, he worked with us from the day first when we started. Dhiman, my president, and Dijan Bhattacharya from New York, and Shekharji, I want to remember him, and I want to remember Jay Kansara. These people help me, connect with this lawmaker. The many event is taking place in Washington DC, but without these people help, I couldn't uh, have the opportunity to meet this lawmaker. Uh, yes, when I got invitation, I went there. I talked with them by myself. I create the opportunity with my capacity, but without their help, inviting to this event, I couldn't get this opportunity. And they especially helped me many times to meet with many congressmen. So, and I want to thank him at the same time, and I want to thank many more people who are
Yeah. I
working
want
with
to add
me.
actually, I want to add Adele Nazarian, who is
Yeah,
the HinduPACT outreach
yes,
director
he
to the legislators, and also our PR and media outreach director, because she did quite a bit of work behind the scenes on this resolution as well.
Mhm.
And of course, I mentioned Pramod ji earlier, but Pramod Jhaveri ji was somewhat instrumental in getting us started and making connections. Tyagiji, any final words from you before we close the show, because we are on at time now? But so, any
Just
final words from you?
just to say thanks. I'm glad that you mentioned Pramod's name, Pramod Javeri. He's the one who introduced our group to Shabbat, Steve Shabbat.
Yeah,
And so I have thanked him personally also, that because of that we see this resolution introduced today. And thank you, Ajay bhai, to you for bringing this topic to this Hindu Lounge show and inviting Priya ji and me talk about it. And like Priya ji said, no words are enough to thank Utsav. Utsav has done. Without Utsav, this was this
this
was
will
not
not
going
happen.
to happen. So,
And
but
Renuji,
we
I
have
mean,
a
we
lot of
cannot
work to
forget all
do.
the contributions Renuji has made also. So, uh,
Renuji, Pramodji, and also in the Cincinnati Hindu community, from our group, we all came together.
yeah.
Our temple got involved. Temple
Yes,
president, Vinod
Vinodji,
Sudhakar.
Vinodji actually issued a statement on behalf of the
Yes,
uh, Hindu Mandir as well. So, thank you to
right.
Vinodji as well.
Right, other temples are also behind it.
Yeah,
So the Hindu, we were unitedly approached it, and so everybody made an effort, like I said.
yeah.
But the lion's share goes to so
All right,
without him,
Utsada.
it would not have happened.
So then let me just go to Utsada.
Just
Utsada,
one second,
uh,
another 1 second. I forgot to remember the team from Florida, Nainanji and Shodhitji and Dibbaniji. They are working to
yeah,
get many time, and I went there and give my presentation to three congressmen house, and at the same time the Houston team, Rajiv Verma, and the team from Dallas, they helped a lot of way. So I want to thank them because they are also trying to connect many congressmen. So we want to remember all people, and
Absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
not
We,
we
we
don't have enough time to remember
No,
how
no, no.
many
We will please
people
send
are
us the
helping
names.
us
We'll put
in
them on
order
our
to.
website.
I am
We'll put them
thankful
on our
all of.
website as well. So yeah,
So
Priyaji,
when
we'll
this
put all the
resolution
names on the website.
passes,
So
when
that it
this
finally
resolution
comes to you
passes,
because everyone has said, and I have also seen it that thank you for doing all the things that you do for the Hindu community overall, and being the providing the really the backbone of Hindu advocacy in America. So any final words before we close today's show?
we should have an Oscar-like speech when it finally passes.
Yes,
The president
yes.
will make- So then it would be a really long list. I mean, not to forget, there are people who silently support Hindu Pact, economically by donating to Hindu Pact, and morally and socially by promoting it. There are people who supported Human Rights Congress for Bangladesh minorities that Priyaji works for. Uh, and the millions of people in Bangladesh who, believe it or not, were always standing silently behind this and working towards making sure and making it happen. So, this is an Oscar speech. We should have an Oscar speech when.
So that, let me just do this. Let me just close this out by saying that I want to really profusely thank HRCBM and the Hindu Pact teams for really taking the lead and gathering. Actually, I want to also recognize all the Hindu organizations. There were 70 Hindu organizations that signed on to this effort, and they supported in this cause. So it is not just Hindu Pact or not just HRCBM. It's the united Hindu community that came together to make this happen. So I would thank the Hindu community in America, and I thank all the work that has gone into it. We will not be doing our. This was a very special show, so I did not schedule for the Hindu Good News, but or Hindu Hindu Phobe of the Week or any of that for this week. But I do want to mention that we have a unique effort which we talked about last time, and that is our the elections are coming up, and all of the and it really Hindu vote really matters, and Hindu vote really matters in especially in the places where there's a battleground places, battleground states. These are the places where Hindu vote is going to be decisive, and we have a website as Hindu Pact called hinduvote.org. Hindu Hindu vote.org. It is a unique website. It's the first time in the history that anyone has done this before, where you can actually, there is a subsite, and there's a link, clearly a link on the top part of the page, which goes to elections2022.hinduvote.org. You click on that link, and what you can do is you can find a candidate. You put in your address, it will take you to a page with your candidate's name listed, and there you can now look at the positions that the candidate has taken on Hindu issues. You can look at the questionnaire that the candidate has answered for the benefit of Hindu community, Hindu focused questionnaire, and you can also rate the candidate based on their view on Hindu community. If you don't mind my going over for just another second, I would like to actually show this website. What we are requesting today is that please reach out to your local congressmen, to your local congresswomen, to the senators, senate candidates, and ask them that please go to this. Please, you would have every congressman, every senate, or every congressional candidate, every senate candidate has received an email from us, all 1100 of them, with a specially personalized link. What we request is that they go click on that link and respond to the questionnaire. And we also request everyone to please go and express your views on the candidates in your community and help the Hindu community decide. So very quickly, in 30 seconds, I'm just going to show the website that people can actually go to, and make this happen. So here is the website. You can see that it's a Hindu vote website. It is a project of Hindu Pact. And if you go here, it clearly says Congressional Election 2022. And you click on that, you put your address here or you put your zip code. So if you were to put our VHP's own address, which is the South Bond 200 South Bond Street, and oh, New Bond Street, I'm sorry, in Sugar Grove, Illinois, and you pick that and you go and search, and you will see the names of the candidates, and then based on the name of the candidate you'll be able to. So for example, here is a Democratic House of Representative candidates and the US Senate candidates. We have the photos when if they are available. You click on this Democratic candidate Lauren Underwood, and when you go there you will see the biography of the candidate, and as you go down you can express your views on this candidate from the Hindu perspective. The candidate, we have sent out the questionnaire to Representative Underwood, uh, and as soon as she fills this out questionnaire, we will see the questions and the responses to the questions. You can see they're all Hindu focused, about the Hindu hate, about the educational opportunities, immigration policies, human rights, all of that. And then you will have the opportunity, HinduPACT will rate the candidates on their key votes. So that is the Hindu Vote website, and we really urge you to make use of this wonderful tool that we have made available to all the Hindu community. Okay, with that, I want to close this show out. Utsada, cannot again thank you everyone for joining. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by HinduPACT. HinduPACT is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It's an initiative of World Hindu Council of America. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, hosted by, of course, Utsavda. Utsav Chakravarti is the executive director of HinduPACT, and I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. Thank you again, Priya ji, Tyagi ji, and everyone who was involved with that. And namaste. We'll see you next week. And as we close the show out, special music created for Hindu Lounge by Decibels. Okay.